Hi guys, welcome. So today I'm going to show you a different way to watch YouTube in your car, which I've done before. I've shown you a way to do it before. I found something that I think is actually a little bit better than the box that I used last time. It's from this company GetPair, and honestly it was, I wasn't really looking for another unit because I already had one that worked. But this company reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in testing it. I've had it for about a month at this point. Well, I guess 3 weeks. Yeah, it works fairly well. There is a little bit of setup required, so I'm going to kind of walk you through it and show you how it works. But this is a unit that you can use to watch YouTube or Spotify or Netflix or a variety of other things on a CarPlay screen. Now, I'm not going to get into any of the legalities of, watching video while you're driving on the road. Like, that's a stupid thing to do. Don't do it, right? Maybe there are situations where you might want to. Maybe you travel a lot for work. Maybe you're a salesperson. Maybe you do things and you end up sitting in cars for extended periods of time. Maybe you're a mom or a dad who has kids that are into, sports or things like that. My daughter used to do plays, and I spent a lot of time actually sitting in the parking lot of the school waiting for play practice to be over. They say it's going to end at 6 and it's 6:30 and you're still sitting there waiting for the kids to get done. It's a fairly normal thing. So this is a good way that you could, watch different things inside your car, maybe use that time a little bit more effectively. Maybe for longer road trips, it's something that your passengers can utilize. You as a driver should not be. Just want to show you how this works. So first off, this is a box. It's from a company called GetPair. I'll put a link in the description. And like I said, they did send me this for free. But there's no strings attached to my my review or anything like that. Just said here, I'm going to send it to you. If you could release a review, that'd be cool. The unit itself is relatively inexpensive. It's available in a variety of places. It's pretty small. It's just like this. And the only connection that it really needs is the connection for CarPlay in your car. So in my case, that's a USB-C connector. I've got that plugged in right here. It comes in this box with foam. So there's just a lid on it. And then there's a manual inside. And then what else? It's there. I don't know if there's a cable or not because I already had one in my car. It seems like there is. Yeah, so they give you 2 cables. One is USB-C to USB-C. So if your car has a USB-C connector for AirPlay, so if your car has a USB-C connector for CarPlay, you would use that one. If your car has a regular USB connector for CarPlay, you would use the USB to USB-C. Now, first thing that I will say is, if your CarPlay screen does not have a touch screen, which is the case for a lot of Mercedes, it's a case for a bunch of different vehicles, some BMWs. If you do not have a touch screen, you need a keyboard. You want a keyboard. So the keyboard that I'm using for this test is actually this guy. It's Rii. I is the manufacturer. I'll put a link in the description. It's the X8 keyboard. I only need that because Mercedes does not have a touchscreen in their CarPlay cars. So this does not have a touchscreen. This is not a touchscreen. It is controlled by this dial. And that works well for CarPlay because CarPlay works around it. There are still some things functionality-wise that are not great, where you end up picking up your cell phone and just typing in a location in Google Maps or something along those lines, right? But for this, in order to connect to Wi-Fi, in order to get the initial setup done, in order to log into YouTube, certain things like that, if you don't have a touchscreen where you can type things on your screen, you really need a keyboard. It's an optional thing, but I think it's kind of not optional, right? You just need to have it. So this keyboard, this Rii X8, comes with this little dongle thing that you can see here. You just plug it in. There's a USB port right on the end of it. Plug it in, and it just works. So it's nice and simple, and you can see that actually my keyboard went to sleep. So you can see there I've got a little mouse on the screen, right? So I'm watching, Daily Driven Exotics right now, connected. So I'll show you kind of how this works. If you go to the home screen, you're going to open up to this home screen. Just, looks like this, right? So there's storage on the unit itself where it can hold music. You could probably also use that USB port, honestly, for like a flash drive or something along those lines. You'll see a couple icons here like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify. There's actually a bunch of different things. There's, CarPlay, Android Auto, IPTV, Amazon Prime Video. There's also an app store, so it looks like we could actually add more things if we really wanted to. Once you get it plugged into your car, the very first thing you want to do is you want to connect the Wi-Fi. So depending on how you're set up, like right now I'm sitting in my driveway, so I can just connect it to the Wi-Fi at my house. Otherwise, you would use like a mobile hotspot, right? You would turn on tethering on your phone and you would connect to it. So right now I'm connected to my guest, which is right there, and there you are, right? So I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. Now note that streaming uses a bunch of data, but we all do it on our phones all day, and most of us have unlimited data. It's just something to note, if you're going to be tethering your phone, you're probably going to consume some data. Other settings that are available in here, you'll see that there's storage. It's got 8 gigs free. You'll see that there's some display options. You can set a custom wallpaper, a bunch of different things in here, right? The only other thing that I think I want to do is set the time so it's correct. And right now it is set to China Standard Time, so we will change this to Los Angeles. Now we've got a couple different icons here. Because we're connected to the Wi-Fi, we can launch YouTube, we can launch Netflix. Now, some of these are going to require you to log in. And this is where, like I say, you end up needing a keyboard. So for example, when I went to connect to my Wi-Fi, it asks for my Wi-Fi password. Well, the problem is that if you don't have a touchscreen, you can't get to the on-screen keyboard. So if we look at like YouTube, for example, right? Let me just drop this down. We'll go into like the search bar here. I just pulled up DDE as like something to search. But if I want to type something in, you see there's this keyboard down here. Now, because this isn't a touchscreen, I can't access that. And when I use my like scroll wheel, which is all that I have for control here, it doesn't let me get to that keyboard. So that's just something to note. Like if you don't have a touchscreen, you're going to need a keyboard. But I will say the keyboard actually works really well. So it's only a couple bucks more. It's just, whatever, something to note. So if we type in here, we can, type in, I don't know, obsessed garage. And we can, scroll down here and we'll see, there's OG. And here's a video. And because I'm not logged into my YouTube premium account, there's obviously ads, as you can see. Now, this is a regular YouTube app. So the way this thing works is it's actually running an Android operating system. So it's like an Android tablet. So imagine if you had an Android tablet and you installed it in your dash and you had it just connected to your stereo. That's pretty much what it is. So it's a, in this case, 5.5-inch Android tablet that I can watch what I want to. You can see that it actually works really well. So we don't have any, obviously internet dependent. I don't have any buffering or anything like that. But it's also not like stuttery or jittery. The video is very smooth and it works really well. Now the other one that I've tested in the past, which I talked about in the past, was the CHNN. It's this guy here. And I found that was honestly a little slow. Like they make an upgraded version that has more RAM and more CPU, and I recommended that one in my video over this one because I found that it was a little slow when you were working on it. And that one's running more of a full-blown Android operating system, where this one seems like it's got an Android operating system that's just pared down a little bit, specifically to do what we're trying to do here. So as you can see, if I turn this up,
it's good speakers and we make the right choice.
You can hear Matt there, whatever. I don't want to copyright claim or anything like that, but there you go. I'm watching a video here on my screen. Nice and smooth, works really well, great functionality. And honestly, I think that this is the best use case for this unit. Now I will say that this has other features as well. So you can use it for, you'll notice here on the screen, there's actually a little CarPlay icon and an Android Auto icon. So if I click on the CarPlay icon, it will actually start doing wireless CarPlay. So I can connect my phone to it and I can have wireless CarPlay in a car that does not have wireless CarPlay. So that is another function that this unit has. Now my car already has wireless CarPlay, so I really don't need that portion of it. For this, I'm honestly most excited about being able to use it for YouTube or for Netflix or for a variety of, you know, other apps that I might want to watch or consume media on. It does have Spotify on it as well. If you've used Spotify in the past, you know that Spotify has a functionality where you can actually download music. So you could download music directly to this. You could also play music off of a flash drive or something along those lines. Depending on the connectivity that your car has, some of these features might be useful or might be not. My car has a built-in internal hard drive, 30 gigs. So I really don't need something to hold music for me. But it does have it. It does exist. It does work. So we see here, we've got, you know, Matt's kind of down in the lower corner there. We can obviously double click on that and go back to full screen if we want to, just like an Android tablet. And we can, you know, play pause. We can see description on the side. You know, we can do kind of whatever we want to do, right? So, you know, just overall, I think this is a really good unit. I will put a link down below. That link will give me a kickback, but you know, if you wanted to search for it, if you know, hate me and you don't want to give me a kickback or something along those lines, you can just search for GetPair. You'll find the unit. It's the GetPair multimedia car adapter. The model is the CA400. And so far, I think it's the best one that I found for this. And I'm honestly thrilled that they reached out to me, given that I bought one from another company in the past. This is actually the third one that I've used now, because I have one that I originally got that I sent to Becca that didn't really work. It did mirroring, but it didn't really do like the full-blown, we're just going to play YouTube right on your screen kind of thing. You had to mirror it from your phone, which meant that your phone was tied up all the time. The Zen was better, but slow. This one is actually better, but fast. And I do like the functionality of the USB port on the side that you can use for the keyboard. So for the Zen, I also use a keyboard, but I had to use a Bluetooth keyboard for that because it doesn't have the ability to connect to a USB keyboard. So then you're like trying to pair this keyboard with no touchscreen functionality, and it's a little clunky. It's not easy. This just works. So I will say, if you're gonna buy it and you don't have a touchscreen, buy this too. Again, I'll put a link down below, but you could search for the Rii X8, or you could just search mini keyboard on Amazon. You'll come up with a bunch of them. You want one that has this little USB dongle thing. But I like this little X8. It works really well. It's got a mouse pad on it, so you can use the mouse. Android actually supports a mouse when you've got one connected. So you can see that I can whatever, double click on the screen, or I can go over here and I can choose something. It kind of emulates my finger touching the screen, which I don't have a touch screen, right? But then there's also obviously a full-blown keyboard, so I can type something out like Daily Driven Exotics or Just Garage or whatever I'm searching for and find it. So that's all that I have for today. I thank you for watching, and I hope that you're having a great day.